Welcome. Today you're going to learn one of the most powerful techniques to consistently generate listings, no matter the real estate market. When the real estate market is going up, people have a tendency to overprice listings because not only are they excited about the increasing market, but so is the real estate agent, and they take chances at marketing listings above market and then not being able to fulfill that order of getting that listing sold. This is what we call a seller's market. And in a seller's market, we will still see between 15 to 20% of the listings not sell. When it's in a balanced real estate market, about 33% of the market doesn't actually sell the first time. In a buyer's market, where it's fewer buyers than there are listings for sale, we can actually see the percentage of listings that sell drop to about 40%, meaning 60% of the listings expire. In these markets, it's very important to have very efficient marketing techniques because it takes longer for homes to sell. And contrary to belief, you actually want to increase your inventory during these times. Because if only 40% of your inventory is going to sell due to the market conditions, you have to maintain a higher amount of inventory in order to continue to have profitability through these lean times. The point I'm making here is that expired listings are a way to generate business consistently no matter the market conditions. This is what makes it one of the most important techniques to learn if you're going to choose real estate as your career. Let's talk about why listings don't sell. I've identified 8 reasons why listings don't sell. And I promise you, the number one reason isn't what you think it is. Starting from the bottom, price too high is the 8th reason. Properties that are priced too high, or priced too high for too long and don't reduce their price aggressively early enough to catch the market, will have many showings or very few showings and no offers over a period of time. Number 7 is incorrect information. Oftentimes, when you're working with expired listings, you're looking at the information that the other agent inputted into the multiple listing service. I can recall a time when I was looking at a listing and the agent had the listing listed as an industrial property when in fact it was residential. So therefore, when it was searched by a residential broker, it wasn't even coming up on the listing, on the multiple listing service. All I simply had to do was change it from industrial to residential, and we began getting showings right away. The sellers thought I was a miracle worker. Poor marketing. Poor marketing can be many things, but most commonly, it's the description of the property as it's put out into the public and or to the agent base. See, in order to sell a listing once, you have to sell it twice. You have to sell it to the real estate agents to want to show it to the consumer. Secondarily, you have to syndicate it out to the marketplace, all the search engine websites. It's important that the description of the property is good enough that it intrigues the consumer to want to click through and or to contact the agent to see the property themselves. The number 5 reason is poor photos. Today, more than ever, photos are absolutely the number 1 most important piece of marketing. You can have a great description, great information, yet poor photos, and you will eliminate your ability to get showings on the property. In fact, I've taken listings and only changed the photos, barely changed the description, and was able to sell the property within 7 days, simply by having professional photos taken. Number 4 is functionally obsolete. This is getting more and more common throughout America, for the same reason that none of us drive a car built in 1975. See, cars today are, let's just face it, they're comfortable. The air conditioning works, the seats and the suspension are very comfortable. They're much more safe today with airbags and anti-roll stability control. So there's many reasons that we choose to drive a car today versus one built in the 70s. Homes that were built, in fact, the majority of homes in America were built in the 1950s during the post-war, meaning after World War II, when the troops came home and began starting families and having children. We had a housing boom in America that resonated in almost every single state. So therefore, most of the properties, as far as a function of time, were built within the 1950s and early 1960s. Yet those properties, for the most part, are unfunctional for the consumers today. Also, there are homes that were built in the early 1900s and early 1800s with very small bedrooms and very small closet space that are also often functionally obsolete without actually investing lots of money. Now, of course, there's areas in the country and within inner cities where it is trendy to own those old homes. But as a whole, older homes are obsolete in what consumers are desiring the functionability to be. So therefore, several properties that you will find are era-based properties that are necessarily obsolete today. Another example of this could be a property that might be very unique, a mobile home that's on 40 acres. It's going to take a very specific buyer in order to purchase that property. So you're not going to be able to market that to the general public. You need to be very specific with your marketing in order to drive that desired buyer to that property. Undesired location. Of course, we've heard the phrase location, location, location. An undesired location is most commonly something that's backing to an interstate, something that's backing to a busy street, maybe power lines, storage tanks of utilities, and those kind of things that may cause some type of obstruction or considerations about health concerns. Not pricing the property correctly in relationship to the location and or the undesired part of the location will prevent the property from selling. And then lastly is poor condition. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a property that it's simply in poor condition. It needed new carpet, it needed some new paint, maybe some exterior paint or some landscaping, and the other agent just simply never requested it from the seller. The seller was happy to make those repairs, yet was never asked to do so. So lastly is condition is a part of a budget concern. So obviously we're going to condition the property in the best that we can within the seller's budget, and therefore beyond that we must adjust price for condition. Because a seller typically isn't going to invest $20,000 or $30,000 into remodeling their property in order to sell it. They might invest $3,000 to $5,000 and then expect a return on that $3,000 to $5,000 somewhere in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, and or being able to sell the property quicker. So the number one reason listings don't sell or listings expire, poor agent communication. That is the number one reason. See, oftentimes people like to blame the seller or the homeowner for the reason that the property didn't sell. And in fact, it's typically poor agent communication. The agent simply did not communicate the reasons that the property is not selling or the market is not accepting the property. And therefore, the seller didn't have an opportunity to make adjustments quickly enough to catch the market. This means in order for you to be extremely successful working with expired listings, you must communicate the reasons why the property is not getting activity, meaning views on the website, people coming to view the property, and offers on the property. Those are the key measures that we look for in marketing listings. If we're not getting one of those three things, then we must communicate to the seller how they can make adjustments in order to get the property sold successfully.